Going on, everybody? I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. You're a returning subscriber as always, guys. Welcome back, and I do appreciate the support, guys. As we speak, they're still protesting in New York over the wrongful death of street performer and homeless resident Jordan Neely, who tragically passed away earlier this week after having a psychotic episode or a meltdown, what have you, on a subway train, where one good Samaritan, a ex-Marine, decided to put him in a chokehold and restrain him to the point where he lost his life tragically on the train. Now, guys, I've done a story on this, and I gave my 2 cents of how I think it was messed up that this happened to this man. And it shouldn't have went like that. And it could have been prevented. Oh my God. Anyway, guys, listen. Protesters in the street right now, as we speak, yesterday, today, they are doing some serious protesting. They're blocking off streets, even getting on subway train, on tracks, on subway lines, underground subways, and blocking the tracks. Now, my thing is this, and I may be ignorant to the whole situation of the protest, but I'm going to play a clip real quick, and I want you to see something and tell me if you notice the same thing I noticed, and then we'll come back and talk. You know, it's just real. I just realized I have a Marine's shirt on, and a former Marine is the one that committed this atrocity against Jordan Neely. So it wasn't planned. So, but guys, I really want you to look at this video, look at the protesters, and look at how angry people are, because this really hit a lot of people hard. You know, mental illness is something out here that is running rampant, and it's not getting diagnosed. Now, in his case, he had a history of mental outbreaks, and a lot of people are on the fence of whether he deserved this or not. Now, me, in my opinion, I feel as though he didn't deserve this. Or if he was held, it could have been with some kind of discretion, and I'll come back and explain that later on. But let's check these protests out, guys. Check it out.
Begin with that protest on a subway platform in Manhattan. Demonstrators demanding justice for Jordan Neely. He's the 30-year-old who died after being put in a chokehold on a subway train. Eyewitness News reporter Morgan Norwood was live as protesters were escorted out of the 63rd Street Lexington Avenue station this evening. The situation tense and heated. Now, police were called to the platform as some of those demonstrators jumped onto the subway tracks. Morgan Norwood followed that demonstration for blocks through Midtown Manhattan until it came to that standoff underground.
As the blaring headlights of a stopped subway car beamed beyond the tunnel, dozens of demonstrators stood on the tracks, bringing both the Q train and the F train, the same line that Jordan Neely died on, to a halt. You can't stop the revolution! We were live on the air as protesters piled onto the platform at 63rd and Lexington. They stood in the doors of the train cars, stood in the faces of police officers, and then fists started flying. Police officers began taking down and arresting demonstrators. One by one, we were watching as protesters were carried out in handcuffs. Right here. But as officers made their arrest, a line of cops locked arms, bracing themselves against the crowd and the escalating tension. One officer injured as he was escorted away. Within an hour, the crowd did disperse, but quickly reassembled above ground on 63rd Street, and there were more arrests. It took multiple officers to constrain this man, even in handcuffs, spitting on cops. And as chaotic as the protest ended, it didn't start that way. It's the same crowd that marched through Midtown Manhattan midday as they demanded Daniel Penny, the former Marine seen in this video putting Neely in that chokehold, be arrested.
He's a murderer, and it's a shame.
Protesters carrying signs, others wearing shirts, and some carrying deep grief.
This is a public funeral.
And some say it's a public crisis. This incident now renewing the debate over mental illness and subway safety.
It is devastating, and it was absolutely preventable. And the city and the state have failed us again.
And NYPD confirms there were multiple arrests but have not released the number. FDNY says at least one person was taken to the hospital, another treated and released here at the scene. As for this case, the death of Jordan Neely, it will likely go before a grand jury next week to determine if charges will be filed.
There it is, guys. And trust me, people are very, very upset about this. And they should be. This guy trying to be a good Samaritan or a hero, in my opinion. Somebody that just wanted to get, I think he wanted to get viral views, or he just wanted to be seen on the news or something like that. You know, other people say that the man was just going off. You know, he wasn't directly threatening somebody. It's a short train ride. Let the man vent. You know what I'm saying? As long as he ain't in somebody's personal space, threatening them personally, as a good Samaritan, you shouldn't have did nothing. So all that playing G.I. Joe was bullshit to me. And he should be charged. Now, I'm going to tell you something. And this is just me speaking. You know, just my opinion. I applaud people protesting for something that's an injustice. I support that all the way. But sometimes it seems like, well, a lot of times it seems like the protest is either not in the right place, or they protest just half of what needs to be protested. Because if you look at that video, the man that was holding his arms down is just as guilty as the guy choking him. But everybody wants the ex-Marine, the one that had him in a chokehold, brought to justice. That other man and the other guy, to an extent, is just as guilty. But it's like people are not talking about that enough. Oh, the guy choked him out. Yeah, but he had help. Because the bottom line is this. If somebody's pulling on a rope around your neck and choking you, you know, like the garrote, that thing they pulled, they put that rope around your neck and they choke you. If somebody's doing that and somebody's holding your hands, they just as guilty. So that other asshole need to go too. He need to get the same charge. It's still murder. It ain't assisted murder. That's murder to me, because you held his hands. You don't know what would happen if Jordan Neely could have got his hands in there and really stopped it. Because remember, his hands are down, and let's look at this for what it is. His hands are down, so he has to strain to get his hands away from one person while losing his oxygen reserve, because he can't get his hands up to create a gap for his airway to open. That other guy is just as guilty. But that's the one part of the protest I don't understand, or they're not giving it enough publicity. The second part of the protest I don't understand is, yeah, it happened in the subway station, but the subway trains did not kill that man. And they're not arguing over the man being killed. It's more of that's the after effect. But it seems like it's more, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong. It seems like the protest should be more towards the DA that act like he wanted to dismiss it. I would be down there at the DA's office. That's where the protest should be, because that's where the pressure is. I'd make it to where no cars can come in and out, because he's the one that's creating all of this stuff. Think about it. That man, if he had got arrested and all that shit for that, if they had a protest, I think it would be small. And it would be different because the guy was in custody, because some motion towards justice for Jordan Neely was being done with his apprehension. So I think, honestly, because like they're up there fighting the police, and it's like banging your fist against a stone wall. Ain't no give. The police didn't choke him out. The police just responded after he was choked out. Now, the DA is the one that's pulling the switches. That's where I think the protest would be. And I never understand when people do these protests or organize these protests sometimes, and no disrespect for the protests, but it's like the same thing. Things can be done, or certain places that should be protested are not. It's just like more of a grandiose show of solidarity in public, when it can be the same thing in front of the DA's office. You know, hey, DA, you dropped the ball. You got to make this right. And we're here to make sure you do. And we're en masse. Because you got to remember, it's multicultural faces there. So this affected a lot of people. Think about it. That's just my 2 cents. I mean, I got a video. I'll put the video about him getting the initial story of him in the pop-ups at the end, which will pop up in a quick second. But as always, guys, like, comment, share, and subscribe, man. I appreciate you guys. You know that. No disrespect for anybody in New York. And we do, as Americans, have a right to feel upset. And this young man and his family, Jordan Neely, do deserve justice. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hit the subscribe button. See you soon. Take care.